Thank you. We are back today with our public discussions on the budget process, and our conversation today right now is about the public library. And I welcome you, but let me just give a quick shout out to some of the folks who have joined us in the back. We have two council members here. We have Council Member Bill Pridemore, who is the chair of the Metro Council budget process. We also have Metro Council Member Russ Pulley, who is back there. I'm going to turn this to Talia. She's going to kick it off for us, then she's going to turn it back to you. And if you would introduce anybody that you brought with you today as soon as Talia kicks us off. Talia.
Hello, everyone. The public library provides opportunities in reading, learning, and community outreach. They have a current Metro budget of $27.4 million, grants of $356,700, and other funding of $1.2 million. We are currently budgeted for 359.9 FTEs. Their budget request for fiscal year 17 is for $1.9 million, and that includes 18 FTEs.
18.
18.
Yes.
So, Mr. Oliver, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, thank you. I do have some important people with me today that
Yes,
I'd like to introduce. I have two board members with me, Margaret Ann Robinson, who I refer to as the Queen of the Nashville Public Library, First Lady, and Robert Orman, another one of our board members, who is a great supporter, and we're pleased to be joined by Terry Hughes, who is the president of the Nashville Public Library Foundation. So, and joining me today is our Associate Director for Administrative Services, Susan Dry, who has all the numbers.
Great. And I did just want to give a shout out. We did have Councilman Larry Hager also joined us, so thank you for being here, Larry.
Great.
Okay, great.
Great. Well, we have a number of requests in the budget process this year, and we've grouped those in 5 different areas, and I'd like to cover each of those areas for you. I do think it's important to note that over the last 3 years, we have experienced steady growth at the library as far as our usage and the services.
So give me some percentages on that, Ken. What does that look like?
For instance, our circulation was 5 million. We're seeing monthly increases in our electronic format circulation of 10 to 15% from the previous year, that type of thing.
Okay.
So, I mean, we're seeing some really nice increases, and we're very happy about that.
Are you seeing that in different parts of the county as opposed to?
I would say that it's pretty widespread. Of course, the electronic resources, a lot of that is online checkout, but we're seeing visits up in most of the areas constantly. So we're feeling pretty good about it. We feel like we're doing market penetration wherever we need to.
So overall, across the whole county, you'd say it's all up?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep. So I would like to point out that we've also had some great buildings renovated and added to the system over the last couple of years as well. So the combination of the service increase coupled with the buildings, I think, is pretty significant.
And did you want to give a shout out to those great buildings?
Well, we have Bellevue, we have Southeast, and I could give you a long list of the renovations that we've completed, which I think is pretty impressive. And I almost hate to start because there's so many, but we've done North, Bordeaux, Edmondson Pike is closed right now. Watkins Park is closed right now because it is being expanded. Hadley Park has seen some cosmetic renovations. East has seen some mechanical systems worked on. The main library, of course, the children's area, the 3rd floor. Old Hickory was pushed up a little bit due to the flooding. We've done some work at Pruitt, Luby, and Edge Hill as well.
Well, I think it's important to always highlight the fact that although we have this beautiful library downtown, we do have amazing facilities throughout the entire county.
We think we do.
That are given attention to either by building new facilities or renovating the existing ones.
And you got to experience Bellevue the other night.
I did.
And see what it is like when you've got it teeming with people.
Yeah,
so
it was great.
It's great.
It was great.
Well, the first area I'd like to touch on is what we're calling Friday service or public access. And we have grouped 3 requests that total $731,100. And that funding is for we opened 7 branches last year, staggered the openings. Those were Bordeaux, Madison, Hermitage, Green Hills, Edmondson Pike, Southeast, and Bellevue. And we are seeing steady increased activity on those Fridays as we've opened those. Bellevue, Madison, and Southeast, that group that opened last fall, they're average, right now they're at 1,700 visits per Friday as a group, and they're checking out about 1,800 items. So we're very pleased with that.
So what would this additional request do?
Well, we would hope that we would see numbers similar to that. We're looking at the branches of Richland Park, Thompson Lane, Inglewood, Donaldson, and Goodlettsville.
So this would bring more libraries.
People, more libraries online.
Online on Friday.
And we're looking at it geographically and size-wise because we're trying to fill in the holes in the geography of Davidson County where we're open on Fridays. And we're also looking just at the size of these branches. These are kind of the next step below the regionals in a lot of cases.
Okay, and that would be for staffing?
The increases for staffing, that would be for 8 full-time equivalents on the new openings.
Okay.
Would every branch now have Friday openings after this?
No, we would
How
still.
many would still remain?
Well, what would that be, Susan? Probably about 5 or 6.
Okay.
It's either 6 or 7.
Something
Okay,
like that.
that's fine.
Yeah, but they would be the smaller branches typically.
And do you phase that out over 3 years at all, or?
Right, we did phase that in the budget process. That we did not request the entire chunk this year.
Okay, great. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Happy to do that. The next area is what we're calling core service support. And the Nashville Public Library Foundation has been a key partner in the development of many of our library services, and especially some of those that are demonstrating lasting impact on the community. And what we are doing is requesting 4 full-time positions that total $244,200 that would basically move funding of these staff positions from the Library Foundation to Metro.
Well, why don't you talk a minute about the role of the foundation?
Sure.
And why this is happening.
Okay. The foundation has been in place and for a little over 15 years, and they really came into, I think, their being as the main library was being created and opened. They came together to support the main library construction. And they've continued on supporting us annually with service support, capital support, a lot of different areas. And
Is that what that 1.2 million is from when in the budget process here? Tell you the other?
That's
No, those are grants and things of that nature.
Some of it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And some
just
of
an
it is
assortment of
foundation as well.
donations, some of it's,
Yeah.
it's
So it's coming out of that
It's
number.
everything else is what's in that.
and some of our,
Revenue, isn't it?
pardon?
No, just some of the other is that.
Is that revenue as
Some of that
well?
revenue,
But it's
too.
sitting in special funds for dedicated purposes.
Got it.
Right,
Okay.
and some of the programs the foundation has supported has been Bringing Books to Life, Wishing Chair, which is the puppets, a number of important literacy programs. The list just kind of goes on and on. But the Civil Rights Room programming, they're picking up what I call the value-added services, or the things that for one reason or another have really struck a chord with our needs, and they've made a huge difference in the community.
I think what I'm trying to get to
Okay.
is this idea that the foundation may very well incubate and help fund some programs, but then if those are successful programs, the
Right.
idea is to create an opportunity to bring it into the main budget so that they can continue to incubate other new programs.
Yeah, and that's what I think of as what the foundation's role, at least from my perspective over the last 4 years, is its strength is to be able to pilot programs.
Right.
And find out if they're good, and then we would hope in a process that if they are successful in their core services, they would be transitioned to Metro government.
And that is what you're asking with
Right.
these 4 FTEs, that
Exactly.
these were pilot programs.
Bringing Books to Life was piloted by the foundation in 2004. And the 2 positions in the Special Collections Nashville room in 2007. And the idea there being that because of the recession and funding issues at the metro level, those were never really moved over or sought to be moved over, I do not believe, in a certain way. So what we are asking now is that those positions move to metro, because these programs, as you know, are no longer what I'd consider new. They're very much a part of what the library is and who we are.
And why don't you say what Bringing Books to Life is?
Sure. Bringing Books to Life is literally a nationally award-winning literacy program, and it provides an array of family literacy services. We go into daycares, we provide workshops for parents, those sorts of things. And it's very much about helping children learn to read at that early age, so that when they go on, they'll be successful in school. The Special Collections Division does a lot of great things, and the two positions in Special Collections deliver an array of services. They do oral histories for civil rights. They've done oral histories for the Northeast Nashville History Project. They've done outreach, including Nashville Reads. They do programming in the Civil Rights Room, including the Metro law enforcement training classes that go on. They've done educator workshops. They work with the special collections in the Nashville Room itself. So there are a lot of great things going on there. And I do want to back up to Bringing Books to Life for just a second, because we have the supervisor position that we're requesting there, and we also have the adult literacy coordinator who is there. And the adult literacy coordinator does just what you would think. She helps really facilitate adult literacy programming in the library, but she's also working with the Pathway for New Americans. She's working with New Americans communities. She works with the My City piece that the library has, so she's doing a lot of those things as well. So you can see that these are really critical positions for what we're doing.
Let's talk about, you have any questions on that?
Good.
You good?
How about NASA?
NASA. Well, the Nashville After Zone Alliance request, and you may remember it's been 2 years since NASA came to the library. This will be our second go-around. And what we're looking for this year is to expand the program, not as far as the number of students in the program, but the length of the program so that it covers the school year. And I believe that request is $370,400. And currently NASA does serve has 1,000 slots serving 1,500 students. And the reason for the difference in that is because with the mobility of students pop in and out of those slots. And again, the program itself is a 2-hour program in the middle schools provided by different nonprofit providers in the community, such as Pencil and the Y and Martha O'Brien. And it's an hour of focused educational learning activity and an hour of learning enhancement.
So if we have these great community partners who are doing this with us, why do we need $370,000?
Because those folks cannot do it for free, and really what we do is help coordinate those partners, and they actually charge a stipend per pupil.
So that's the cost.
Right,
So what we're
that's the
paying
cost.
for is for a student.
Exactly.
What are the ages of the students? I think you
Well,
said
it'd be middle school ages, right.
So that's 12 to 15, 12 to 15, pardon me?
5th through 8th grades.
Okay.
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 Miscellaneous improvements.
Okay. Well, we are calling these key infrastructure positions. And there are a number of positions, full-time equivalent positions here. There's 6 total. And what we're seeing are growing pains and the need to shore up some of our infrastructure, as well as to try a pilot program. And so the positions that we're requesting, we're asking for 1 strategic planning data analyst. And what this additional position would do would be to coordinate library strategic planning. We're actually at the end of a 3-year plan that we had internally, and we're about to embark on our next 3-year plan. We want to conduct detailed data analysis of library services, and we also want to determine logic models and outcome measures for all of our services. And libraries are very good about having outputs or data, but one of the things, like many disciplines, is we need to be better about seeing what it really means. How are we moving the needle? And
That's right.
And that's what this position is about. We also have a public technology instructor position. This would be an additional staff position to work on the library's portion of digital inclusion.
How are y'all handling that now?
Well, we have one instructor and we have an N10 Google intern fellow, and then we also have a position that's a partial position that's funded through the foundation. And
would that funding go away from the foundation?
we have not said that it would go away because we're trying to ramp it up.
Okay. I'm looking at your foundation.
Yep. I think then we were requesting a production services staffing position, a full-time equivalent. And this would be a position that works with our AV. And we have 21 locations plus the conference center. And we currently have 2 full-time equivalents. And they are the ones that are making sure that the mics are in place, the films are in place, the media is working, and those sorts of things. And they're very stretched. In 1 month last year, which was admittedly a very busy month, they had 86 hours of programming alone in the auditorium at the main library, just in that one space. So that's quite a bit. The other thing that's happening is very exciting, is that we're trying to embark on a media conservation program. And what we're doing is we're looking at migrating, decomposing historical film footage to digital format. And to give you an example of the kinds of things we're looking at, Elm Hill Pike is kind of our storage facility for archives and other things. We have what we believe is the only film footage of President Kennedy visit in the early 60s. We have
At Hillsborough Village?
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
Then we have film of Martin Luther King here.
And you'll want to preserve these budget
Exactly.
hearings. So,
Yeah. Well, luckily they're digital, so you can do that. So that is a huge, huge project, and we really need an additional staff position in order to do that. We're also requesting a security services staffing position. We currently have 4 security guards at the library, and in addition, we use about 613 hours per month, or 7,200 hours per year of G4S, which are the security services that Metro uses. And what we will use a new guard for would be to rotate to branches that we've identified as having repeated challenges. To give you an idea of what we're looking at, from July 1st to December 31st last year, our guards filled out 289 security incident reports. And these are just reports that require some type of interaction with people for one reason or another. And through February this year, we've had 120 incident reports. And in case you're wondering, we spent about $104,000 on GS4 in the 15 budget, and we've spent $62,000 so far this year. So.
Okay.
We're also looking at an HR analyst position. We have one dedicated HR specialist for between 350 and 400 staff members, depending upon the day. The position will focus on day-to-day functions involved with targeted recruitment and hiring process, serve on interview panels, perform employee records maintenance, assist staff with routine HR-related questions, and assist with the implementation of strategic plan strategies in the area of HR, including our diversity initiatives. And so that's a very key position for us. We're seeing that at the end of each month, we're running 35 to 50 open positions.
so that's how many open positions you all have right now?
Yes, in fact, I was just looking at the last board report, and I think we were right at 50 in that particular report.
Okay.
Watkins Park branch, we're looking at an additional staff member for that branch. It is currently under renovation and will triple in size by the end of June. But due to staffing limitations, the situation that we're in now is that we have one staff member assigned there. In order for that person to go to lunch, or if they're on vacation, or if they're sick, we have to pull somebody from another branch to cover the building, and we seldom, if ever, have two people in that branch, which we consider a security and safety standard that we are not able to observe at Watkins Park. Then the service initiative we're looking at is the hotspot piloting, and this is part of our digital inclusion effort. But what we're looking to do is to pilot this program with about 100 hotspots next year that we would check out, much as we would any other item. And hotspots provide internet access through computer laptops or other Wi-Fi devices.
And so I would just be able to check it out with no cost to me?
Well, that would be our intent, and if you did not bring it back, we'd have the ability to turn it off, and then you would be charged for it.
But if, we talk a lot right now about kids not having access to do their homework. So is this a way to give access over to those kids?
We believe it is. We believe it's very much of what we're trying to do, or we're looking at doing with MDHA and getting to those at-risk communities, because a lot of people just can't afford internet access. We think everybody can, but everybody cannot. So we want people to be able to take those home and use them, or wherever.
And anybody could use them?
Right, anybody could use them.
Okay.
So.
Would those just be checked out like books or for a certain number of days?
We have to set up the parameters, but we should be able to set it up on our online CERC system, so you check it out and we'd have it on against your record. Just
Anybody else out
People fighting
doing this?
There are a lot
of them.
There are a lot of people. In fact, there was just an article I was looking at this morning in Kansas City on a CBS affiliate that was talking about the hotspots that are being used in Kansas City.
Kansas City?
That's right.
You and I both love Kansas City.
That's right.
It's all good.
You're piloting 100. How many do you think, what do you think the need is? Is it 10,000?
We'll find out. And I
Finance director.
and that's really
Yeah,
the
what's the
value of
need?
doing it
Yeah.
as a pilot, because we'll be able to determine in conjunction with what we're doing with anytime access and trying to push the devices out through the schools and providing more access perhaps through the Casey project and other MDHA projects, really what that looks like.
Well, I'd love to see this pilot targeted at youth. I mean, I think, at least initially, that to me seems like an investment that would be interesting. But anyway.
Okay.
Yep, parking?
Parking, and this is kind of our final operational area, and there are two components to this, and there's a $231,600 request here. Again, the two components, volunteer parking at the main library. Previously, the Friends of the Library and the Library Foundation have paid for volunteer parking at the main library, and the FOL, the Friends, are no longer able to maintain this financial support. To give you a sense of what this looks like, there are currently 106 active volunteers who work at the main library in any given month, and they're providing an average of 939 hours. And when the Talking Library moves to Maine this summer from Madison, and we do have the space that's about to be renovated for that, the number of volunteers and number of hours of volunteers, the number of volunteers who worked at the Talking Library in February of 57, and they had a total number of hours of 340. So if we're going to continue to look at trying to provide this is a significant thing to consider, because our volunteer usage or help is only going to go up at the main library. Then the last item under parking is that we are requesting parking for the main library full-time staff. And this is an interesting situation. We have a parking area at the library, at the main library, kind of a cave off to the side, where we have 42 dedicated spaces. And we dole out those spaces, and they cost the staff who have those spaces $105 per month. And we have 170 full-time staff members working at the main library, and we're concerned that the situation is creating an inequity for those staff members working at Maine, as well as a financial hardship for some based on their salaries. And in addition, this creates some problems for us in recruiting new staff because they see the cost for parking. And the other issue becomes for us that when we are seeking to transfer staff, or staff may want to consider coming from a branch down to the main library, they're immediately looking at $105 per month if they're fortunate enough to get a parking spot.
Do you provide bus passes as part of?
Yes, and Rich was great a couple of years ago and helped us try and work towards this with the stadium parking and the bus coming over.
Okay. Clearly, a lot of asks. So should I assume that they're prioritized in a way that reflects these numbers? So closing the Friday gaps and the the 4 FTEs with bringing books to life and special collection program. Does that go down?
Right.
Is that okay? All right.
Correct.
Just checking.
May I address capital just very briefly?
Yes.
Good, thank you. I thought that was a yes. I do think it's worth noting, as we talked about earlier, all the renovations and new buildings that have been going on, and we did submit our capital plan that directly parallels our new master facilities plan that the board will be discussing this coming month. And it actually lays out our facilities and renovating and new facilities through the year 2040.
Okay.
And we think that that's essential. Rich may be getting tired of hearing this, but it is absolutely a fact that we do not quite have 1 square foot of library space per resident of Davidson County. It's actually 0.88. In order to maintain that level at the growth that we're seeing in the community, we would need to build a new Bellevue or Southeast every other year. You could do that whether you're building a new building or you're replacing a building with a larger facility. But libraries are very much about building community and their gathering places. So
And by the way, Rich doesn't get tired because he's hearing it as new information as the COO.
Okay.
Talia's hearing it as the finance director.
Great. And I believe that 2 of the new buildings that we're looking at, that we've submitted, we believe Donaldson and Hadley Park are 2 buildings that really need to be looked at. The 4% funding, I would really like to thank the finance office over the last couple of years. They've really moved our materials budget up. At one point, we were down to 0, and we've moved up to hopefully $3 million this year. We're going to continue to request the $3.5 million level in the 4% for books and materials. And the need for that is quite simple, in that it's like a store in your stock, and the more you have, the more people can get to, and the more they will use it. The other challenge that we have is that we're not just buying books anymore. We're buying electronic formats and information and books and downloadables and music and video in a lot of different places, in addition to the other formats that we already have. So that's critical. The other piece in the 4% that's critical that I'd like to thank you for addressing in this last 4% is equipment. A lot of the equipment that we have, we cannot buy through capital bond money as we're doing these projects. And we have computers to replace. We have buildings to power wash, such as the main library needs to be power washed. And those are the kinds of things that we really need to keep up with. So we very much appreciated the consideration in the last 4%.
Great.
Okay?
Rich, any additional questions? Talia?
I have a question.
Sure.
I promise you it'll be really quick. I've been seeing some literature around libraries kind of going in non-conventional space. It's not really a library throughout the U.S. For instance, I've seen where people are trying to get closer in the community, so maybe an area of town that doesn't have a library branch, but they do have a fire station.
Right.
They may reconfigure space and have a small library in a fire station, just so that people in that area have access to books. I'm just thinking about all of the new development, not only just metro properties, but also some of these everything's just growing around us. Have
Sure.
you begun to think about
We have-
libraries in non-conventional kind of library space?
We absolutely have. We're actually referring them to them internally as outposts. But the idea that you might end up, as you said, in a fire station, or you might work with a school to have a joint library, or you might be in a public housing space, and rather than having what you'd call a full-blown
police
library,
precinct
you'd
or
have a small
recreation
space
center.
where you had those sorts of things. Where's
Is that
this-
part of the facilities plan that you're looking at for 2040? Is it included in that?
The dollars are not included in that because the initial discussion we're having is with MDHA and Martha O'Brien and what some of those kinds of spaces might look like. So we haven't really pushed that number out yet. The plan that you see in the capital plan are things that we feel pretty definite and we've done research about, and we know where we know where we need to go with that. But these other ones, we haven't researched enough to really give you numbers on.
I just thought that was
No, I
interesting.
think it's a great, and we have one deposit, sometimes you call them deposit collections. We have one deposit collection, and it's not at the main bus station, but it's one that our technical services people have been piloting.
It's a different twist on the old bookmobile, I think.
I think it's great. Columbus had a book cart, Columbus, Ohio, where they roll out this book cart into a public park and garden space in the summer, and people can check stuff out. So,
Perfect. Anything else? We appreciate you all. Thank you so much
Okay.
for making time to be here today.
thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.